Hello my stamping friends, I am back with some more faux embossing card tutorials for you. So if you joined me last time, I worked with Forever Fern and I created this card that was cased straight from the catalog where we stepped it up and did some faux embossing on the background, right? So today I'm going to be using the iconic dies that are from the annual catalog, and I'm going to create for you two more samples with that same technique. So the first one, I'm using the branch, the bird, and these two big flower dies. Okay, and I've already die cut all those, and I'm going to have my card base on So Saffron. So let's go ahead and do our faux embossing panel first. So I've embossed this piece of So Saffron with the greenery embossing folders. So I've just got that textured leaf on there for these. Now I've die cut 3 of each flower, 3 big and 3 of the smaller ones. You could do them all the same if you'd rather, but I'm going to do the 3 and the 3. And I thought I would try a different way of adhering them, which you can try, or you can just take your time and do it with your fine tip glue or your liquid glue. But I'm going to put some glue on my block over here, and then I'm going to use a sponge and try to apply it to the back. So let's see how this goes. I haven't done this in quite some time doing it this way, but I think it'll be just fine. So I have my die there. Just going to pick up a little bit of glue on my sponge, and now I'm just going to dab it on the back. Okay, so I've dabbed it on the back. I kind of want to get the edges too. And you see I started way over there because when I put this down, I want to do it again, but I don't want to put it in the same place, otherwise I'll get adhesive on the front of my next die. So there's the first one. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do this one next. This one's actually a little more solid. So see, I just moved it down out of that messy adhesive up there. And I'm just going to dab the back. And then I'm going to put it right in here. Okay, so remember, faux embossing is putting images that are die cut, shaped images that are die cut on top of your panel, and then we're going to trim off the edges. Right? But remember, it's your card. If you don't want to trim off the edges, if you want to leave it hanging off the edge, it is totally up to you. It's your creation. Okay? So this one I'm going to put here. I'm kind of going to alternate going down the two sides between the two shapes. Okay, move to a new clean spot. Dab and put this one on. Like so. Alright, a couple more. One last one here. Okay, so that seemed to work, yeah? Alright, so I'm just going to press all those down, and then I'm going to give them a second to adhere while I work on my sentiment tag. Okay, so now my sentiment, I've already stamped it with crushed curry from the Brag-worthy stamp set. Okay, this is a new sentiment set, and I'm using the I'm here for you seriously, just try to get rid of me. So I've got that on a piece of just Whisper White, so that's going to go on my card when I get done, right? But I thought I would use the branch and the bird to finish off my die. And one other thing I want to try is I'm going to sponge through my die to create a second color for the bird. So when I went and die cut my die from my panel, okay, I have this remaining shape. So if I come in and just, you can see where my word is, so as long as my die isn't over the word, I'm fine. So I'm just going to put my die, right, negative image of my die there, and then I've got my sponge out, and it's got crushed curry on it, and I'm just going to shade through the die. Okay, so I just kind of have a shadow of the bird in the background. Then I'm going to adhere my bird over the top. So now I've got a two-tone bird. So going back to my sponge, add some adhesive there, and then I'm just going to put him right over the top. Okay, right over the top, just like that. Alright, So now let's go back to this panel. So I'm going to bring in my paper snips, I'm going to flip this over, and just like before, I'm going to trim up my edges. Now this panel is narrow enough that if you didn't want to trim up your edges, you could leave those flowers hanging off the edges. Like I said before, it's your card, make it your way. But to stick with the theme of the faux embossed panel, I am trimming mine. Okay, so all my edges are trimmed, right? I've got my faux embossed panel. I'm just going to fold this in on itself so that I have adhesive not actively out on my mat here. Okay, so now I'm going to add this panel to the card. Okay, and because it's embossed on embossed, I'm just going to go ahead and use my liquid adhesive to put that down. Okay, so I'm putting that on my card. Okay, and now I've got my sentiment that I'm just going to put on here. I could go high. I think I'm going to go high. I'm going to go high with this one. So I could go flat, but I think I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of it. There are my dimensionals. So I'm going to pop this up, and as you can see, I had already stamped it one side on the other side, but I kind of had that edge, so I flipped it over and stamped again. Remember, your cardstock's got two sides, so use them both. Alright, so this is going to go here. So I'm just coming across that faux embossed band that went down the center there. And then I've got my little branch. So am I going to add my little branch? Yeah, I think I'll add my little branch. So I just need some adhesive kind of right in here. And maybe there. So a little more detail in here. Just add that on. Okay, and then I'm just going to trim that back here at the edge of my tag. So a little active edge going on there. Good? Yes? Thumbs up? Everyone likes? Okay, so let's do my second faux embossed with my iconic dies. Okay, this time I'm using the fern and the mushroom, right? Mushroom. Now I've got all these die cut. Save us some time. Got my sentiment ready. So this time I took my 3 3/4 by 5 inch panel and I ran it through the bark 3D folder. Okay, so that's going to go on here. And then I've cut 7 of these fern dies, and I'm going to do the faux embossing with the fern. So I'm going to put some more adhesive on my clear block over here. And we're going to do these the same way. So I'm going to flip these over so the backs are exposed. And I'm just going to add adhesive to them one at a time. So just have a little on your thing and then just dab it onto the leaf. I'm going to do another one. And they kind of twist a little bit as you work with them, but that's okay. No one says they have to be perfectly the same. Now I did 7 because I often do things in odd numbers, just to kind of create a little more balance, right? Not everything is equal in nature, so I often do odd numbers. Alright, so this time I'm just going to create a cascade. I'm going to put my sentiment across here, so I'm just going to make a cascade of ferns. And I won't be surprised, the ferns are a smaller die than I've worked with in the last few cards, so they might just fit. We're going to have to trim the edges. They can overlap if you want them to. You're making the background. So you be creative. Put some this way. Now my fingers are getting very tacky, so it is a it is a little bit of a messy technique, but I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it. Alright, put one down in this corner. I'm going to put my last one out here on the edge. Okay, so this time I've worked within the boundary of my panel, so you don't have to worry too much about that. Okay, so now this is going to go on here. I think this time, I don't think I really need to pop it up on dimensionals. I think it's got enough dimension of its own with those two layers. So again, I'm going to use my liquid adhesive, put this down, add that to my card. And then I'm going to use that same sentiment. This time I stamped it in shaded spruce because I wanted a contrast in the greens. Okay, my shaded spruce. So I'm going to put that on dimensionals. Come on. There we go. My fingers are very tacky, hanging onto the dimensionals all on their own. Okay, so I'm going to put this here, kind of on this side here. There we go. And then I've got these two mushrooms that are in that same die set, and I used my sponge and my crushed curry ink, and I just kind of gave them a little bit of color for that. And then these are going to go right here. So I really just need to put them on the side, some adhesive on the side here. So think about that, right? Put this down. I just want adhesive on like half of it. So if I come over here, I'm just going to kind of add it to the base and that one side. And then I can stick that on. Easy peasy. This one I'm going to go ahead and do the whole mushroom. Okay. And this one's going to go right here. So how about that? Kind of fun, right? I really just worked with the dies. I had a sentiment set thrown in there, but I just worked with dies and embossing folders and created that faux background on both of these cards. So I hope you enjoyed this technique. I hope it inspired you to do some fun stamping, use those dies, and even though it's a messy technique, it's really kind of a simple technique. You just have to do a little bit of work. So enjoy. I hope you enjoyed. Remember, you can find all the details on my blog in the tutorial, and all my links are posted below. Remember to give me a thumbs up if you're watching me on YouTube, and if you're shopping with me, follow my link. I appreciate it greatly, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.